Welcome back to another part where I talk about Japan, my trip. Of course, this is part something or other out of 15 or whatever. New Japan shirt. This is the Versus shirt, Japan, with a samurai and a ninja, kind of. I thought it was cool. I mean, yeah, again, it's black. I don't mind. Black is still cool. June 6th, Nagiso Nakasanduo Trail and Kyoto with the Geisha Night. Geisha Night will be its own exclusive video because I actually was able to film the whole entire thing, and it is quite remarkable, I think. So yes, we caught an early train from Matsumoto to Nagiso Machi. That I might not have all these names correct. I'm mostly relying on a lot of geotags from my phone of the photos I took at the places, so I apologize about that. Also, I'm sorry if this angle's a bit weird that I'm looking here for the microphone there. It's just the best I can do. So let's continue. So we hiked from Nagiso through an old trail for about 5 kilometers to Sumagojuku. Sumagojuku. Let's go like that. Yeah, that makes sense. The pathway involved small towns, one long road, and multiple small temple areas. We passed several bamboo groves as well. On the walk, we took a small 1 kilometer diversion to Sumaga Castle. The castle was just a hilltop ruin with a view of the town, which was quite interesting because it was quite a hike up, and we actually saw a really nice bamboo grove, which most likely will be on the screen right now. And the castle itself, it had certain signs that said, like, oh, this is where the rock wall used to be. This bridge used to be made of wood. Now it's made of earth for certain reasons. And when you actually got up there, it just looked like it was a house where you'd have, like, a dinner or picnic or whatever. And it was just in ruins. With some stone tablets around the place, which was fine. I mean, we didn't know about it, so of course we actually getting up there was pretty cool, and you got a good view of the town, which was kind of the point, because a lot of their castles are up on hills or on mountains. Conveniently, we didn't go to any of those castles that were up on hills or mountains, so this was kind of the only one of the trip, which I'm perfectly alright with. I guess it leaves more for my second trip there, if that ever happens. But there were remarkably quite a lot of bumblebees, which I tried to capture footage of, but like later in the trip with dragonflies, they're small, they're fast, and they're scary. Well, dragonflies aren't, but bumblebees are. They're huge. I haven't seen a bumblebee since I went to England back in the 2008 or something. I think 2008. I haven't seen a bumblebee for like 10 years, 11 years now, actually. So it was interesting to see them, and I was like, okay, I don't know if these will kill me or attack me, so I'm just going to keep moving. Closing in on the town, we passed a large rock that used to be worshipped. Now, I got some images of it. They're not great images. I think I got a video of it too. I can't remember. It also had a display that showed what household life was like. So there was actually a house there. There were actually two. One which obviously people lived in, and one that was a display home, which was open to the public where you could look into it. And it had all kinds of signs showing, like, oh, this is where they would have their dinner, this is where they would put their clothes, this is where they would sleep, yada yada yada. And it was quite interesting to look at, given how this is probably the only real display home we ever saw. We then arrived at Sumagojuku and we bought some small items, so keychains and the like, before proceeding into the oldest part of the village. This village is actually famous for its preserved state. in this case, we have a great lack of electricity. So the town still runs on electricity, but the older part of it doesn't actually have cables, like in power lines and stuff. It's all underground, which you can see in contrast to the actual bigger town that's more populated, because that part of town has all the power lines up in the air, whereas the older town doesn't. It has it all on the ground to keep this preserved looking state, which is rather interesting. And it's pretty much one of its most famous aspects, that in this preserved state, that is. We found a clothes shop that displayed some crazy designs, like these pants and shirts. I don't know how much of it I took pictures of, but they're very interesting. I questioned whether the fashion could work on me, and I realized that no, it would not, so I decided against buying it. It probably also cost 5,000 yen or something, so about $50, so I didn't really want to do that to myself. Probably actually cost more, realistically. Then we topped the visit off with ice cream and a bus trip to the station, this being the train station that we'd walked all the way from. And on the way, we actually saw a Godzilla statue too. I don't know if I have a picture of it. My dad took a picture of it on really quickly because we were driving still. So if there's a picture, then there will be. If there isn't, I apologize. I guess you can pretty much guess what it looks like. It was pretty cool, actually. It was really well designed. They had a whole carve-in store there on the side of the road. The town itself was really nice. They also had some extra display rooms there, but it was rather dark, so there wasn't really much that I was able to film. They had a few gift shops and whatnot, and it took me a while to actually find a pretty good keychain, and also good ice cream too. This is early summer in Japan, so we had a lot of time where we just had ice cream, which was rather fun. Some, of course, out of vending machines, some from actual stores. In this case, it was out of one of the stores that Dad had actually bought a keychain from when we had originally arrived there. Next up, we arrived in Kyoto and took a few steps to the Ibis Styles Hotel. It wasn't really a few steps, it was like 20 meters to the hotel, because it was literally just outside the station. The hotel had a Georgia coffee machine, because of course, Georgia. I didn't actually end up using it, which is kind of strange. I think you had to pay to use it, and I didn't. Or maybe you could get a free coffee, I can't remember. I didn't. Didn't have time to anyway. But still, I was like, hey, cool, a Georgia coffee machine that's just exclusively Georgia coffee, which is pretty cool. After dropping our main luggage, we wandered to the Shimogyo? Okay. Oh, Shimogyo-ku Temple. Oh, these names just get worse and worse to pronounce. Again, there were no pictures inside, but we were able to wander around the outside of the buildings. Like, there was a whole courtyard area, which, again, is on screen, with a nice little fountain thing, which they had this one with a dragon, which was probably the most unique one that we found, which we went to a lot of temples, and they all had these fountains that led into this small little kind of cement-like bucket of water with a lot of ladles that you could fill the water up and wash your hands with. It was a kind of spiritual thing, a cleansing thing. I did it a few times. It was quite fun, especially in the hotter days. I did not drink from it. I always just wash my hands, and sometimes, well, not exactly my feet, but sometimes put it on my feet if I had sandals on. So that was rather nice. And then we actually went into the building. The first one that we went into, which we had to take our shoes off and hold on to them in plastic bags, was mostly just a big open space room where you'd sit down and pray, and they were actually at the time closing off the inside chamber where the probably shogun or whatever religious leader would sit down inside. The front was impressive. It was quite nice, but again, it was being closed off, so I wasn't able to get a great look at it. We then continued into the next room, which was already closed off, but the ceilings had some quite nice designs of peacocks and dragons, which was pretty cool. We continued our trek to the pagoda, which is the really tall tower buildings. There's a lot of pagodas. So in this case, the pagoda was the Sensoji Temple, which is a 5-story pagoda. I think the tallest one we may have seen was a 6 or 7-story pagoda. In this case, this one, of course, was 5-story, which was up a very narrow and populated street. So we actually had to take quite a walk to it. We then journeyed through the market. So yeah, we went up this very, very long street and got to it. The whole place was closed off, but there was a lot of people that were taking pictures, which was fair enough. Kyoto is known very famously for its geishas, so there was a lot of girls in kimonos. No one was actually a geisha. There were no geishas at all there. We did, of course, meet a geisha later that night who was actually a Maiko, I think it was called, which is a geisha in training. I'll get into that in the next video. Yeah, so then we journeyed through the market to our geisha night. Yeah, so I'm actually going to end this part here and talk about the geisha night in the next video, which I'll do a whole big introduction for it. Then I'll actually show you all the footage that we filmed. Maybe it'll be in a cut, I don't exactly know yet, but that's pretty much the idea. Yeah, so I hope you have enjoyed this potentially second part, if not individual video, of Kyoto, and I will talk to you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video where I talk about our geisha night with a lot more footage, and actually we were able to film there, literally allowed to, which was great. A lot of people were kind of surprised into how in depth I went with filming, and by that I mean I had my camera out a lot of the time. Where we had the Maiko dance, we interviewed her because you were able to get a one-on-one conversation with her. And we played some games as well and ate different foods, so there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff to take a look at. So yeah, stay tuned for that video. Will be coming out very soon. Outside of that, there's a whole bunch more Japan videos if you haven't already seen them, but I don't know why you wouldn't be watching those before watching this. In my mind, it doesn't make any sense continuity-wise. Either way, there's a playlist in the description and probably on screen now, and I will see you next time with the same shirt on. See you later. Bye.